All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Nerd Watch, the podcast for Game of Thrones. Always your host, Sir Berculator, a.k.a. Austin, and Tormon? Is that? Tormon, the lookalike, Muller.
Hi.
He's got the beard and everything. And
I don't think so.
And tonight we have a very special guest. He's been watching Game of Thrones. He was supposed to be on last week, and then kind of it got a little bit late, and then he had to leave. So a big warm welcome to the person from the past, the blast from the past, and should have been born in a different era, Dakota Blakely.
Hey.
All right, so if you're new to ClassyNerdTalk and our podcast, tonight we're going to be talking about Season 7, Episode 2 of Game of Thrones.
Stormborn.
Stormborn. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start off with the first house. Why don't you go ahead, decide, pick your first house.
So, honest opinion, do we want to go with how they appear in the show, or do we want to go with least change of anything to most change?
I would have to go. Let's just go with probably. Let's go with the starting off house.
Starting off. Okay, so we're just going to go by appearance. That's perfectly fine with me. Yeah. Cool. So the first house we see it pretty much starts exactly where it left off last week with inside the map room of Dragonstone with Daenerys, and we get to see, honestly, the first time ever Varys saying like the honest truth. Like normally whenever he talks, he's very sly, cryptic, yes, yeah. different things about him. He just doesn't want to reveal the full truth. I feel like he laid it all out. He's like, listen, Daenerys, I fight for the people. I don't fight for you. But I believe in you, and thus is why I fight for you. I honestly, that was a pretty cool scene. I really enjoyed that scene, just because it's the first time that we saw Varys in that light, like where he actually was kind of something genuine. What?
He finally grew some balls and said something.
Yeah.
I mean. He probably hasn't
real physically real balls because the man doesn't have any, but he physically, I mean, like as figuratively speaking, he grew balls. So yeah, we kind of get that like little stare down that they do where Daenerys is like questioning his kind of loyalty. How his loyalty towards her, because he was a helper to Robert Baratheon and all them, and she about the assassination with her, and the people were after her, so that she kind of found out who put that forward, and it was pretty straightforward. Like she didn't like beat around the bush or anything. She was just like, who did the assassinations? What'd you do? So it was kind of like straightforward. But I like that it's showing Varys being the person that he's actually believing in the people, and he cares about the people, and that's his whole motive. It's not like Littlefinger where we don't know his motive at all. So it's kind of cool.
I think he just wants that Sansa buoy. I think that's all.
Yeah.
I think he wants power and he wants Sansa. I think he would prefer Catelyn, but Sansa is like a spitting image of Catelyn. The other thing I want to say is how I love how Varys, like whenever Varys and Daenerys was talking, Varys is like, I want you to promise me that...
the other thing...
Whoa.
Sorry. I accidentally clicked on something.
Oh, thank you. But I'm kind of going blank now all of a sudden. Thanks a lot, man.
Sorry.
But pretty much we saw Varys is like, okay. She's like, promise me that if I ever start doing something that's against the people, you'll tell it to me, and you'll tell me like you're telling me now and not betray me. And I just really like that. And she's like, and I'll promise you this, that if you ever do, I'll burn you alive. And I just love the grin on Varys' face. He's just like...
You kind of broke up there. Could you repeat what he said, what she said to him?
Yeah, I'm going to burn you alive.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
You kind of broke up there for a minute. So
I don't know why.
Yes. So, and then he said, well, that's kind of fitting to the Mother of Dragons. So I thought that was a really cool line.
The smirk gave me that scene. I loved the smirk. That whole scene was very enjoyable to watch. But it was definitely something that I felt like needed to happen, or else it wasn't going to. I felt like they just kind of accepted, like, oh, Varys is on our side now. I noticed that this episode did a lot of callbacks, like with different people. All
had
over
a lot of blasts
place.
from the past.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then from that room, there's a little stuff that goes on, but we'll just continue with the Stormborn session for a little bit, or with the Daenerys section. Then it goes to her and Melisandre when they walk into the throne room. What did you guys think about intro of Melisandre into that?
I thought she presented herself really well to her, honestly. Like, she straight up was like, I'm for the Lord of Fire. And then Daenerys was even kind of like, there's not a whole lot of people that worship and respect the Lord of Fire over in Westeros anymore.
Yeah. I think the thing that made me so excited is the fact that this is episode 2, and already Jon Snow's on Daenerys' radar. I figured it would happen, but I just like it that it was Melisandre who did it. And I love that they talked about the whole part of the prince who promised. In High Valyrian does not mean a prince. It means gender-neutral prince or princess. And that was something that needed to be like kind of told to her, or kind of told to everyone for a while. Letting people know that it's not just it's not just a guy. It could be a girl too. Poor Rhaegar just didn't know, I guess.
It's true. The thing is I see that this is gonna it really helped Daenerys kind of like be part of realizing that she has allies and they're actually looking for the greater good instead of just like kind of like messing up with their plans. I really liked that scene, and I really liked that Melisandre showed up, because Melisandre was that key person that brought in that Jon Snow is the king of the North.
Yeah.
And it kind of tied Tyrion with that, because Tyrion was like, wait, Jon Snow is the king of the North? Yeah, he's with Sansa and blah, 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 So it really, really worked that out. It was a great tie into the characters. Like, as the discussion was like, it felt normal. Like, that's how it should have been. It kind of brought some excitement, because we've been waiting for so long to them two to meet.
Yeah, we've been waiting for so long for Jon Snow to appear on, like Josiah said, on her radar, and for them to finally know who each other are, because there's just like that build up between fans. I feel like that they just know eventually that they're going to meet, and when they do meet, it's going to be great.
Yeah, with how this episode went, there's a lot of high points and then a lot of really, really low points. And this was definitely one of the high points, because it's like something that I was just excited for. One, because Daenerys is just like, okay, I guess I'll petition this so-called king of the North and he will bow to me. And Tyrion,
I was like, wow.
I just want to point out, if I remember it correctly, because I just watched it once so far, I'll probably go back and watch again. Tyrion in the lair did not include the whole bowing to her.
No, he didn't.
When he wrote the letter to him, he didn't say, and bend the knee. He just said, come, petitioner. And then he ends with, I have a fondish thing for cripples. I forget. But that's it. Dwarves, cripples, and bastards. And I was just like, that's another callback. This episode is just so many callbacks. That's another callback. It's like, hey, remember what we said that long time ago? That has relevance. But yeah, I'm wondering if Melisandre is going to be in Daenerys' war rooms and such. I think that she's grown as a character. I don't know if I want her to be a four-figure for Daenerys, because I'm not sure if I'm ready to forgive Melisandre. She redeemed herself a little bit, but she's she still needs to take more time to learn. But definitely excited for that. Let's see. And then what do you guys think of the whole war room scene between the Dorns, the Ironborn,
I thought
Tyrell Queen? Go ahead.
I thought it was really cool, honestly, how they planned it out. Well, at least it sounded good an idea until the end of the episode rolled around. But I thought it was good how they planned it out. You know, have the Dawnish and the Tyrell attack King's Landing and use their ground troops, and then use the foreign foot soldiers to attack the more like advanced troops like the Lannister home at Castle Rock, and to attack them, because then they'd have no place to retreat once King's Landing's gone.
Yeah, I would have to say that I was really shocked that she's really, really like leaning towards like what Tyrion, kind of wants to do. And, that brings up another thing about that, because, that there's that discussion right towards the end of that scene with all of them. But the thing is like, I think, Tyrion is thinking like Cersei is. He's a Lannister, and he knows how she is because he's lived with her like most of his life. So it kind of like, that scene before that scene was like, Cersei talking about, all the houses that, they try to bring up support, and that's what's going to bring that. And Tyrion, the next scene is like, we should just like destroy this part. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you should have this fleet and this fleet. And so it really worked out in that way. So I really like that scene, actually. But I really don't like Marjorie. Marjorie's
grandma or
grandma. Mother or grandma. I don't really like her. I never liked her as a character, so it's kind of like it's a hit and miss. But I really liked that she was like, your imp is a clever man, but I've met a lot of clever men in my life, and I've lived past them. And the reason why I've lived past them is because I've never taken their advice. So I really thought that, because it kind of shows like you saw like Daenerys like kind of like come, she kind of took that advice to heart.
You kind of cut out in that last part.
Oh, well, she kind of just took that advice to heart. That's all Daenerys did, because you can kind of see her like face, and you're like, oh, okay. So,
and I do believe that's going to take part in next episode. Because what Tyrion did was he's the one who set up the plan for the Dornish and the Stormborn to go that way. They got attacked by Euron, which honestly they could not have predicted. They could not predict that. I'm still kind of salty about a couple things. Get it?
See, that's what we said.
The main thing is being, how did they make so many of those boats so fast?
Yep.
And just to have that, like the Westeros time traveling, speed traveling thing, they're just Skyriming all over the place, and it's not right.
It's fast travel everywhere.
Fast travel everywhere, and it's frustrating me. But I think because of how that happened, Daenerys will start listening to Mistress Tyrell more than
the
Tyrion.
wise man.
Yeah. And it's funny that she's like, oh, why I outlived these people so long is because I survived. Yeah, you were also pampered and you never had to deal with someone trying to kill you the whole time. Tyrion had someone trying to kill him since he was born, and he has survived. I would listen to him before I listen to a woman. More importantly, an old woman who has such like a frustration, like anger around me. Oh no. But yeah, definitely that. So after those whole scenes, I think we can skip the Ironborn until the end. Let's jump over to King's Landing with Cersei. What did you guys think of good old Randall Tarly and the Kingslayer?
Well, see, like at the first thing, I didn't see it until Dakota brought it up. He's like, hey, that's Sam's dad. And I was like, oh, it is. Okay. I can't get over the fact that like Jaime Lannister just brushed off everything. He was just like, I don't think he brushed it off too much, but like he he's taking it too light, in my opinion. Because like, if I like came back and all my kids were murdered and it was because of his mom's fault, like, you know, I would have been straight up murdering people. But I like the interaction that they had with Sam's dad. It was just, it kind of is leading up to like, you know, Jaime still wanting Lannister blood in the Iron Throne, and also too is, which we'll talk right after that. But you know, we'll go back to you. What did you think about the whole meeting that they had?
So, I have 3 big takeaways from this. 1, Tyrion predicted his sister to a teeth when he's like, if we go at them with savages and aliens, they're going to look at us as that's our point of attack. We have to rally as Westralians to fight back this horde. Tyrion knew that, and so he devised a plan to counterattack that. The other thing is how Jaime went to Randall Tarley, because he's like, you are the big thing that like puts together the reach, the reach. Here's my third thing that I'll take away. Now, this you would either have to read the books, or Game of Thrones does these little things about like lore history backgrounds. Mm-hmm. And you can watch them on YouTube. I highly recommend them. They're just fun little like animations, and it's the different actors talking about the houses. Mm-hmm. In the Randall Tarley one, when he's talking about House Tarley, he specifically tells that he's like, we are soldiers. We are not the like high ups. We are not the higher ups. We are not meant to like lord over people. We are soldiers, and that's what we are, and that's what we do best. He's like, when our liege lord calls upon us, we go to him. Mm. What that means is if they're holding true to that, and Tarley is a man of his word, he will not take Jaime's offer, because he is loyal to House Tyrell. And so that means he will go with Daenerys. Furthermore, that can change. I can see why there would be yes and no's, because he's technically loyal to the crown before Tyrell's. But as we've seen in Game of Thrones this whole time, that's never true, because the North is just like, oh no, they killed a Stark. Well, King of the North, yay, King of the North. But Tyrells are different. I don't think that the whole you can become the new Warden of the South is going to entice Randall Tarley, but I could be wrong. Who knows? I'm going to hold to that he's not going to take that, and he's going to hold to his knightly duties, but I don't know where that will lead yet. So, yeah. Are you guys there? Because it's kind of lagging on my end. Okay, I think we're experiencing some difficulties. Well, I guess we're experiencing some difficulties. I seem to be the one on the chat. So I guess I'll just kind of continue until they jump back in. So from the Lannisters' point of view, continuing on, Cersei with her like planned attack, it makes sense, but honestly I don't see that really adding anything or doing anything with that. And I think Jaime was smart by targeting the Westerns to kind of put together, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere, definitely. And when it comes to Jaime, I do think that Jaime right now is in Cersei's corner. But the longer that things will go on, I think the more he'll kind of fall away from her. Because, well, it's kind of like one of those relationships where the person just doesn't want to kind of talk about like the problems that are facing her. Because in the situation, you have Jaime, who's last episode, he was like, we need to talk about our children. Tommen literally threw himself out of the window, and she just doesn't want to talk about it, which isn't going to be well. And I think it's going to just keep boiling up until Jamie's going to explode and kind of like get away from Cersei as soon as possible. And I think what she's doing with Euron Greyjoy is okay. So apparently the computer crashed. They'll probably be back on in a little bit. So I'm just going to continue rambling about the episode till they get back. But yeah, like I think that's going to draw Jamie away the most. So I think after that, I'm going to jump. Actually, you know what? I'm going to backtrack because there's a point of the Stormborn, aka the Targaryens, that I want to talk about real fast. Is Grey Worm and Missandei. I think that's her name. I can't remember her name. Her name's weird. But I felt really awkward during that whole scene. Just because all that I could think to myself is just like, I understand you love her, she loves you and whatnot. But it's just, man, you don't got nothing. So why do we need like a sex scene between you two? It just felt unneeded. I get it, they're trying to push them two as lovers, to make it more of a sad thing whenever Missandei dies. Or Grey Worm. I'm pretty sure Missandei will die before Grey Worm because he's hilarious. He's a great guy. Anyways, let's go ahead and head on up to the north. But on our way to the north, let's stop by good old Arya and talk about her real fast. So Arya, we got to see two great situations with Arya. One is the good old hot pie. I was really happy about this. This was another one of those returning callbacks. Also, I noticed that hot pie put on some weight from all those pies probably. And honestly, he's not doing half bad. He seems to have the life, he's making pie, he's warm, he's safe. But I got a really bad feeling when Arya looked at him and she's just like, don't die. And he's like, I'm a survivor. And she just kind of stops and kind of like nods at him and walks out. But the big thing that I liked about that whole scene right there was her reaction when she found out that Jon Snow was alive. Just the look on her face, like you could see it just change from, what? Jon's alive? I think she didn't think that Jon would be in Winterfell. I don't think she would think that Stark would be in Winterfell because she even said, like, Bolton's control Winterfell. Why would I go back there? It's like, no, Jon Snow came back and he won the Battle of the Bastards and they took over it. I did notice that I don't think Hot Pie said anything about Sansa. Probably because she took the back seat to Jon hardcore. But yeah, I mean, that's just a matter of time, in my opinion, whenever that happens. So Arya, I love the moment where Arya's sitting there on her horse and you can see her looking one way. She turns around, heads north. Great scene. You could see that she's taking her family more importantly than anything else. And then another great return, since I'm going to just finish up Arya. And then whenever they get back, I'll let them talk for a while about what they think, or what they thought of the whole Arya parts. We see like a scene where she's messing with the fire, which was instantly when I saw this, two things entered my head. I didn't think of Nymeria instantly. I first thought of Gendry because I really want to see Gendry again. I really like Gendry was higher on my book than Nymeria, but when I started hearing the rustling around her and the horse freaking out, I'm just like, oh, it's not Nymeria. It's totally Nymeria. And to see, I was shocked, dude. I was actually freaking out